The word for today is nafs. The word nafs can be referenced to mean the human soul, or more specifically, our individual identity that we come to call the self. The concept of nafs is a complicated one. So sometimes it's misunderstood and often it gets a bad rap. We understand the nafs as something low and blameworthy. And indeed, in the Quran, when the word nafs is used, it is used in a way that it is something that needs to be taken account for, something that can be blameworthy or corrupted, whereas when the word ruh is used in reference to the human being or the soul, it is always pure. And so it's this understanding of this distinction, whereas the nafs is this aspect of the human being that is oriented or is the experience of the human being's manifestation in the dunya. And so therefore it carries with it the tendency to be corrupted by the dunya. But really, the nafs is dynamic, and it is not always blameworthy. It is not always something that needs to be thought of as low, because it can change based on our state, based on what we're doing, what we're focusing on, the work that we're doing internally determines the state of the nafs. And so really when we talk about the nafs as this low thing, which it often is described as in a lot of the texts using this word nafs, really when we're talking about that nafs, the nafs that is blameworthy, we're talking about the nafs in a state of amara. So nafs al-amara is the self that tends towards evil, right? It has this tendency towards evil, but the evil here is not necessarily this evil of darkness and sin always. It can be just simply the separation or forgetfulness of Allah, separation of the Tawheed and this focus on individuation. And so when the nafs is in this state, when nafs al-amara, it is blameworthy. It needs to be taken into account. But then we know that the same nafs in a different state can be nafs al-mutmainna. So here we see that the nafs has this ability to be pure. So in and of itself, the nafs is not something bad. It has a capacity to be purified. So nafs al-mutmainna is in this state the self at rest. And so it is in remembrance of Allah, it's in a state of coming back to its true nature, and the nafs in that state is pure. And then there are other stages of the nafs. Probably the most common is the third stage in between these two, in between nafs al-amara and nafs al-mutmainna, is nafs al-lawama. This is the self that takes itself into account or reproaches itself and is in this process of trying to transform or purify, that we have to look at ourselves and take account. And so our whole work in the jihad nafs, in the struggle of the self or the soul, is about purifying the nafs, so that we have the ability to come into realization or an experience that nafs is actually has potential to be pure and good. And so we need to stay engaged in this work of jihad nafs and doing the work of really tazkiyat nafs, which is the process of purification of the nafs.